Hi everyone, it's Andre here from Nari Warren Boot Camps. What I want to do today is just go over the webinar from the other day that we did last Friday at 7 on Fat Loss Secrets Revealed. Some of the tips and tricks that your personal trainer doesn't want you to know, and tips and tricks that they use in order to drop weight quickly and effectively. First, what I'll begin with is a little bit of a backstory on myself. My name is Andre. I've been a personal trainer now for coming on to 6 years. Done a lot of my training through what is known as the CHEK Institute as a holistic lifestyle coach. But what that's kind of led me towards over the last, let's say, probably the last 2 years is more towards a healthy look or encouraging a healthy lifestyle, and alongside with that, helping people achieve their fat loss goals, which, to be honest, 80%, maybe 80 to 85, maybe even 90% of people that go to the gym have this goal in common with each other. Okay, so what I've tried to do is incorporate a lot of different aspects of a healthy lifestyle and specifically targeted towards achieving fat loss results. Growing up as a child, I didn't really have the best health. I was hospitalized quite a number of times due to chronic asthma, hospitalized under observation for periods of, I forget, but it's somewhere between a week to 2 weeks at a time. What this pretty much led to in myself was a fear of exercise, to such an extent where up until the age of around 15, I hated exercise. I would do anything to avoid running around during a PE class or anything like that. Just because I didn't know what was going to bring on an asthma attack, and I had this constant fear of what an asthma attack would mean. It would mean another trip to the hospital, blah 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 blah. So what I did was, or what I learnt over the years, was just how to avoid it altogether. Ultimately, being overweight, it resulted in things such as depression, having low self-esteem, and really just no energy to do very much with myself. But that's enough of me. Obviously, I've turned that all around. It happened, well, for me, what really happened was I went on exchange to Japan. I spent about a year over in Japan when I was 15. And at that time, something kind of just clicked inside me where I knew I had to really take control of my health and look at life a lot differently, which has led to me to where I am at the moment. So the main question that I want you to understand, or the main aspect of this webinar that I want you to understand, is why do we gain weight? If you understand why we gain weight as a human race, and now we are the only animal race, one of the only animal races on the planet which is experiencing an obesity epidemic, alongside with a heart disease epidemic, cancer epidemic, and just general disease, or diseases in general. We're the only race of animal on this planet experiencing these things. Now, it's my belief, and the belief of many other health practitioners in the industry, that this is the direct result of our lifestyles, and B, our reliance on medical drugs in order to cure every single little niggle or ailment under the sun. As soon as we experience a cold, what's the first reaction most people do? It's go see the doctor, get an antibiotic, where antibiotics usually take a couple of days to kick in, and if you didn't take the antibiotic, your immune system, if it was sufficient, would also take a couple of days to kick the virus or whatever you've got in the butt and get rid of it yourself. it's pretty much the same thing. Yet we've been taught through our Western mentality that we need to go see the doctor and blah 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 blah, which has resulted in, well, this Western mentality of get things done quick and get us to from A to Z as quick as possible has led us to where we are at the moment. So the basic, to answer the question that I just asked before, in simple terms, too much energy and too much waste. When I say too much energy, basically means you're eating too much of a particular type of food or a fuel source. So you have too much. Imagine if you had too much petrol in your car. Obviously, it's overflowing. Imagine if your body didn't have a way of overflowing petrol. All it did was store it somewhere else. Where your body will store it is in fat cells. Okay, so the other thing is too much waste. Too much waste materials or too much toxins coming into the system, your body's going to need to move all this rubbish into some sort of trash can. Okay, imagine your fat cells as as one of your body's trash cans. You could think of it that way. So when you put shit in, mind my language, I may swear a bit during this webinar. My computer's been playing up a little bit and it's sort of annoyed me a little. But when you put shit into the body, your body needs to get rid of it and put it somewhere really quick. And where it's going to dump that shit is into the rubbish bin, because it's the easiest, the most convenient place. It can do it the quickest. Okay, so too much energy and too much waste. The amount. Before I explain this slide here, I'm just going to ask you if you know what a calorie is. Now, I mean, everyone talks about calorie this, calorie that, how many calories in this Special K bar, but do you actually know what a calorie is? There's two different types of calories. There's calories that you measure in food, and there's calories that you measure purely as energy. Everything has calories in it. Even petrol that you put into your car has calories in it. In fact, a liter of petrol has about 8,000 calories, which is probably, let's say, 4 to 5 times what the average person would consume in a day, or probably closer to 5 times what the average person will consume in a day, and that's per liter. Okay, so everything, just understand this, that everything has calories in it. Calories aren't specific to food, or nor are they specific to human food. Everything obviously has calories. So a calorie is just a unit of energy. It's a unit of energy, and how we measure 1 calorie is by measuring the amount of energy it takes to heat 1 gram of water by 1 degree. Okay, so what this little chart here shows you is the amount of energy that you get from a bowl of spaghetti. You can brew a pot of coffee. The amount of energy you get in a piece of cherry cheesecake, you can light a light bulb for 1.5 hours. And the amount of pure energy that you can extract from 217 Big Macs, you can drive a car for 88 miles, which works out to be about 140 kilometers, give or take. Does that mean that you should be fueling your car with 217 Big Macs? Not necessarily. However, it's just showing you an example of how to think of calories as energy. That's all it is. So it comes back to the common fitness industry myth of calories in, calories out. Now this time and time again is proven to be wrong and proven to be ineffective when it comes to fat loss. Yet it's still the most commonly used method for achieving fat loss. If anyone has ever counted calories before, you may be familiar with this, but you will see results at the start. Of course you'll see results at the start. The reason for the results at the start is because finally you've stopped shoveling food into your mouth and you've actually begun to think about some of the foods that you're eating. You're actually consciously aware that, okay, maybe I shouldn't eat that Big Mac, maybe I shouldn't eat that pizza because it's high in calories. Ultimately, that will lead to weight loss. However, over time, when your calorie intake is less, when your calorie intake is less than your calorie expenditure in a day, your body will start to go into a survival mode, whereby it will actually store more fat more effectively, because you've stressed it out to such a degree, which is where yo-yo dieting comes in, where you drop some, gain more, drop some more, gain some more. So now that you understand calories, hopefully things will become a little bit easier. And like I mentioned, this is Fat Loss Secrets. These are just a few tips and tricks that your personal trainer uses in order to drop weight quickly and effectively. Foods for fat loss. Now, foods, when I talk about foods for fat loss, obviously eating that burger is not going to get you to where you want to go. But when it comes to foods for fat loss, you want to stick to, it's a word coined by Mr. Sean Croxton from Underground Wellness, but the term is JERF, J-E-R-F, just eat real food. And if you stick by the JERF principle, you're going from just eating whatever you want, you will see weight loss results. That is a no-brainer. Okay, so JERF, just eat real foods. If it doesn't come in a packet, it's generally okay to eat. So what that means is it has to be some sort of animal or some sort of vegetable or fruit or nut or something like that. You want to be consuming foods which are natural, which are not processed, which are as clean and as natural to the world around you as possible. In the case of sources of protein, you want to stick to the principle of if it walks, swims, or flies. So if it's, well, let's say hops as well, because rabbits and kangaroos hop. But walks, swims, or flies, or hops. Any one of those things, if it does those things, it's usually some sort of animal, and it's okay to eat as your source of protein. When it comes to carbohydrates, you want to be sticking more towards your vegetables. People don't often think about vegetables as carbohydrates, but vegetables are carbohydrates. There's just different types of carbohydrates. But you want to stick to more your vegetables, in particular leafy green vegetables, because they'll help detoxify your system through some of the good chlorophylls and fibers and all this other stuff in there. And they're loaded with minerals as well. When it comes to greens, one other thing I should add is a lot of people, because I recommend a diet very low, if not absent of dairy, people kind of freak out and think, where am I going to get my calcium from? In these cases, this is where most of your calcium should be coming from, your leafy greens anyway, because milk actually pulls calcium out of your bones. Milk is acidic. As you drink it, your body needs to buffer it with a base. If you've ever done chemistry, you understand that when something is acid, you need to reduce the acidity and make it more alkaline. And how your body would do this is either through hydrogen atoms, or another way it can do this directly in the mouth is through calcium in the teeth. And also as you start to digest it, and calcium in the body will also try to bring down the acidity of the milk as well. So milk actually is detrimental to your calcium stores, contrary to common belief. In Australia, for some reason, we're still allowed to advertise milk as being good for your bones. However, in America, I'm pretty sure now, last I checked, the link between healthy bones and calcium, and healthy bones and milk, I should say, is no longer allowed to be made when it comes to advertising, because basically it's false advertising. When it comes to fats, you want to stick to more your nuts, your coconut oils, all these sorts of natural fats, fats that are saturated and stable under heat. When I say saturated fats, you can ask me more questions about this, but I just want to touch on it real quickly. When you cook, you want to be cooking with either coconut oil, rice bran oil, ghee, lard, any of these things that do not denature under heat. Most plant oils, which are used nowadays, canola oils, rapeseed oil, which is cottonseed. What else is there? All these different things where I didn't even know oil existed from. All these oils are very unstable under heat. As soon as you cook with them, they start to smoke. If you have ever cooked with olive oil, you'll notice that olive oil gets pretty smoky when it reaches a certain temperature. That's a sign that that oil is going rancid. A stable oil will not smoke under any heat. So that's just that's just a bit of a trick you can use to see if your oil is becoming denatured. Once an oil denatures, that's where it kind of shifts over time to become more like trans fats. And unfortunately, saturated fats and trans fats get grouped together, but that's for a different topic at the moment. So stick to jerf, stick to more your leafy green vegetables and more your protein sources. What I usually tell people is a palm-sized piece of protein and 2/5 of green veggies at each meal, depending on what your goal is, of course. I should say specifically for fat loss. Now, I'm not saying that fruit is bad for you, but specifically for fat loss, fruit may not be the best thing for you because of the fructose that is present in the fruit. But just be aware that I'm not saying that fruit is bad for you. You can eat it as a treat, but if you do require some sort of fruit in your diet, you want to stick to more your blueberries or your raspberries or berries, which are the better option when compared to tropical fruits, especially.